Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you another Horus Heresy tutorial. We're jumping back on the Dreadnought train with another Leviathan video. The previous one we did was Sons of Horus, and it was the Forge World resin one. We've finally got our hands on one of the new beautiful multi-part plastic kits, and we're doing that up for our Imperial Fist Legion. So stick around and enjoy the video. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine we would get our hands on a plastic Leviathan Dreadnought. So when it was announced, I was in shock. And of course I got one as soon as I could. This is it, built and ready to be painted. I sprayed it black and then used the Army Painter white spray to do a heavy zenithal, which is going to make the contrast work beautifully. As you can see, I've broken apart all the different bits and pieces to make sure I can get in at all the nooks and crannies. And created this little Wally robot here, which is actually just the Volkite guns and the missile pods on top, making it easier to paint. And then we're going to go to this beautiful new paint, the Contrast Imperial Fist. If you watch all my videos, you'll have seen me use this already. If this is the first time coming and seeing one of my videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That would help me out immensely. But also you're in for a treat just to see how beautifully smooth Imperial Fist Yellow applies over the Army Painter white spray. Every time I apply it, I still can't believe how well it goes on. No streaking, no running. Oh, it's just insane. I'm pretty well versed in the use of contrast. I've got quite good control. But this is like turn your brain off autopilot, apply yellow, get a beautiful smooth coat. I love it to bits. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to apply this Imperial Fist yellow contrast to all of the armor panels on the miniature that you want to be yellow. If you look at examples online, there are some panels that are black and some that are yellow, and so it's up to you how much of it you want to be yellow and how much of it you want to be any other color. As you can see, super smooth all the way along. I'm just going to soldier through and get the rest of the yellow done on the miniature. As you can see, that knee pad is white. That's going to be the contrast black, which we're going to jump to now to do all of the kind of under armor bits. So anything that isn't done in yellow right now, apart from the helmet, we're going to hit with the contrast black. You'll notice a few bits and pieces of it are already black because I stopped halfway through the yellow just so I could get in behind things without hitting the yellow, if you know what I mean. Those bits on the kind of inner shoulder parts are a nightmare. So just take your time and get in at them. But now it's literally a chance to get all of the other parts of the miniature with a solid coat of contrast black. And this acts as the base coat for all the metallics and stuff that we'll do later on. Instead of hitting it all with a really bright silver and taking forever to actually paint that in and then washing it down and then layering it up, we're just going to hit it with a contrast black and then highlight it with a bit of silver paint later on. I'll show you that step now in a moment, but it's a super quick and easy method to get dreadnoughts of any type painted. Okay, here it is with all of the black parts blocked in. We're going to quickly throw a Blood Angels red over the helmet. I always like doing the kind of veteran sergeant helmet style on the dreads. If someone was an epic enough hero to die gloriously in battle and has been interred in a Leviathan Dreadnought, you better believe he gets to keep his rank honors, so he gets his prestigious red helmet. Corander's green was used just for the laurel part on his crotch armor thing. Obviously there's three different versions of these panel to stick on if you so choose in the kit. One is Sons of Horus, one is plain, and one has this motif. I wanted this guy to be a bit more venerable, so I went for as much of the kind of trim extra parts in his model as possible. Your one may not have this laurel, so you can obviously just skip this step if you're not into that. It will just be plain yellow. Iron Hand Steel is then used to block in all the, to highlight a lot of the detail. So he's got that big kind of speaker grill thing in the middle. I don't know if it is a speaker grill or what it is, but obviously that gets blocked in with the silver paint. And then this black under part here that I was talking about, we're just going to begin the process of layering up that metallic part. This stage here is actually the longest part, the bit that takes the most amount of time, is going around and layering up all those black bits with the silver paint. It gives an absolutely stunning result when it's finished. But I think overall over this entire Dreadnought, it probably took me 40 minutes, 45 minutes to just go around the entire model with silver, which is it's quite a long time to be doing one step, at least for me it is anyway. Here's an example of how it looks across the legs, leaving that black in all the recesses, but then just highlighting up the silver parts. Take your time not to hit any of the yellow or other detail. Next we're going to jump over to the Retributor Armour Gold, and this is just for a couple of extra bits of trim on the model. So that skull and gemstone in the middle of the laurel is going to get a coat of gold, and then the skull and lightning bolts motif across his chest is going to be gold as well. There really isn't any other kind of flary detail parts in this miniature apart from those. Next we're going to move over to Fuegan Orange shade, and we're going to use this to pin wash in between all the panels. So anywhere there is one of those lines and around every single rivet, we're just going to put a touch of Fuegan Orange shade. Fuegan Orange across the yellow is actually something that was quite hard to show on camera. So I'll show you in a minute now that kind of like half it's done, half it's not done. You can kind of see the comparison between the two. And just so you can see that it is quite worth it to do this stage, even though this little bit of painting here doesn't seem like it. So you can see that small area there is done, and the left hand side is not done. On the top you can see the difference between the grading on the left and right. The pin wash does make a huge difference at making a detail pop out. So I recommend taking your time and doing that stage across the entire miniature. After that's done, it's time to move over to a Dorn Yellow layer paint, and this we are going to use as an edge highlight across all of the sharp edges on this miniature. All the sharp edges that is on the yellow parts of this miniature. And also a little dot on top of all the rivets just makes the entire miniature pop. It gives a really, really nice result. But you want to take your time with this. Try and get the lines as neat as possible. It would be a very rare thing for me to use the tip of the brush. I'm using the side of the brush and basically scraping it along the edge of the surface. This gives me much more control and it gives a lot nicer and neater result through it. Also gives you less of a headache trying to get neat lines across the model. When you start it off, once again, you're not sure whether it's going to be worth it, but when you see it done across the entire miniature, you can see all the sharp detail pulled out, and it makes a huge difference. But once again, if you're in a rush for games or painting is not for you, this kind of stage is something you could leave out, and the miniature would still look fantastic on the tabletop. But to me, a Leviathan is such a big piece. It's going to be a centerpiece of an army. It's going to stand out. A lot of people are going to be looking at it, so I try and put on a little bit more detail. Here's an example of the arm done. Obviously I was painting the arms and all those bits and pieces, exactly the same techniques the whole way across. Just no point in showing you them on camera. We're going to use Corvus Black here, and we're going to use that to layer up all of the remaining black parts of the miniature. So there's a few bits built into his arm, around the fingers of the claws, and some trim and stuff across the torso. So just take your time, find all these bits and give them a quick layer job of the Corvus Black. Oh yeah, his elbows were also in that black color. As you can see, the model is really starting to come to life. Next we're going to go in with Iron Hand Steel, and we're going to highlight up all of those gold parts that we did, which like I said isn't very much. It's just the skull lightning bolt motif across the chest and the skull and gemstone bit at the bottom of the laurel. I also took the opportunity to paint in the eye lenses of the helmet with the silver now as well, because we'll just throw a quick blue contrast in there afterwards and it'll make it look like glowing eye lenses. Super quick step that I probably forgot to film. Oh yeah, I'm also highlighting the speaker grill part. Next I'm using Mephiston Red. I use the air one just because it's already pre-thinned, but any Mephiston Red or brighter red will do to highlight and layer up the helmet. Once again, another super quick step. Make sure you're being neat and tidy as you're, you don't want to hit the yellow with any of the red. I've now attached the arms and painted the eye lenses in with the blue. And this is a stage that if you like your models looking neat and tidy and fresh, stop here. You have a beautiful Leviathan Dreadnought to stomp around your battlefield. I've obviously added the transfers and stuff in now. Me, I've said it before in many videos, I like the late war style army that's kind of chipped and bashed and wrecked. So I'm going to go in and weather and bash the hell out of this thing. So I'm using the sponge weathering technique to sponge on some Corvus Black across the yellow armor, just adding a little bit of chipping. It's very much like dry brushing this technique. You load up the sponge with the black, you wipe as much off until there's very little left when you dab it on your skin, and then proceed to stipple across the miniature itself. And as you can see, I added little black spots all over it, made it look all chipped and wrecked. Looks fantastic. We're going to do this again, another layer of this, a little bit lighter, but we're going to go back in again with the dark steel color. When you're doing the dark steel color, however, you can do like light stabs, like I said, light stipples, but then you can also scrape it a little bit against the edges, hard corners, and it will act a little bit like kind of silver scrape marks. I'm going to do this around his claws as well. These things are obviously being used to punch through tanks and buildings, so everything is going to be scratched and dented and chipped on these things. So you're going to want to add that weathering in. And last but no means least, I'm going to use the light rust from Humbrol. It's a weathering pigment. I'm just going to attack this model with that, aiming for kind of all the creases and stuff where the dust and dirt would settle. If this thing has been stomping across battlefields, like I said, lots of explosions going off, lots of dust in the air, it's going to settle on that beautiful yellow polished armor and make it look really nice and weathered. And when that is complete, this is the final result, something that I'm super proud of. I cannot wait to field in a battlefield of 30k soon, and then show it to you guys in a battle report. I hope you guys enjoyed this Leviathan paint-a-thon. I very much enjoyed it myself. Okay guys, and there you have it. One completed Leviathan Dreadnought in Imperial Fist colors. I see this thing as a big towering brute charging across no man's land to break into fortifications and bust open tanks. So he is of course going to attract lots of light arms fire, and hence all the chipping and weathering and stuff like that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel if you have yet to already. It will mean the world to me for you to join in. If you have any questions about anything I did in this video, drop them in the comments below and I'll get back to each and every one of you guys. And if you see real value in what I do and want to help me grow this channel even further, there's links to things like my Patreon below. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.